What is going on, Internet people? You're tuned into another segment of Radio Wyrd with I, your host, Beard. Radio Wyrd is a weekly internet radio program where I play music and talk about things, and sometimes there's a theme. Sometimes I even know what I'm talking about. This week, we're talking about the Little Death, the Mind Killer. It's fear. Let's not be weird about it. We're all going through a tough time. Experiencing an international pandemic is not something you do every day. So we're here to talk about how we're all handling it. We're going to be talking about dealing with fear and maybe even siding a little. Depends on where this all goes. We're going to be having guests and music. I'm going to be trying to play as much local music as possible, including some of my own. Wyrd Beard is the music moniker that I go under, but Radio Wyrd is a variety show that I do once a week, covering a variety of topics, playing all types of music. So sit back, stay tuned, get weird. It's Radio Wyrd.
on the way. Get out, fight, trouble in the streets. Watch out, right, jump bikes on the way. Get out, fight, trouble in the streets. Watch out, right, jump bikes on the way. Get out, fight, trouble in the streets. Watch out, right, jump bikes on the way. Get out, fight, trouble in the streets. Watch out, right, jump bikes on the way. Get out, fight, trouble in the streets. Watch out, right, jump bikes on the way. Get out, fight, trouble in the streets. Watch out, right, jump bikes on the way. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out, get out, fight, trouble in the streets. Watch out, right, jump bikes on the way. Get out, fight, trouble in the streets. Watch out, right, jump bikes on the way. Get out, fight, trouble in the streets. Watch out, right, jump bikes on the way. Get out, fight, trouble in the streets. Watch out, right, jump bikes on the way.
Hell yeah, music right there from an artist known as Great Bear. Well, he was known as Great Bear when he recorded it. He goes by Timothy J. Elliott now. That's just his name and his artist name. He's an artist and he has a name. When he would go, he went by Great Beer for the longest time, but it started off as Free Beer, which actually did not go over well with the local bars because people would see Free Beer tonight on the billboard and get really confused when they showed up and there was a tall, lanky man playing delicious beats instead of having free beer. So Great Beer was the next best option. I think it's a good name. Before that, we had music from Sasha Konda. Dude's amazing. He plays all that electronic music, zero computer, just a bunch of loop pedals and synths and other interesting tools that I want to have. He's a great artist. Go look him up. Sasha Konda. And then before that, we had music from Fishing. Good band. And we started with my bed music being from Mr. Carmack, the one and only. Coming up next, who knows? It's my show. I'll do what I want. You're listening to Radio Wyrd. Music, vibes, feels, and maybe vibes again. Double vibes.
butcher's boys wrapped up in blankets and overcoats, and she skinned her knee and took the long way home and saw the dog she lost when she was 12 years old. She said, have you seen Dad? That man in the red baseball cap who left water by your bed when you were sent home sick.
Framework for the person that was learning of what they would be expecting, like the knowledge and at what point they would
All right, we just had music from Ben Varian, a really interesting artist. Every now and then he'll record an album just in his room for 24 hours straight, won't sleep, just make music, and then that's the album. It's amazing. Yeah, he likes to collaborate with other artists and stuff too. Really, really good guy, Ben Varian. And then before that, we had music from Ava Marie, like the funeral dirge, but a little happier, slightly happier. I like them. They're good. Coming up next, who knows? It's a variety show. We might do anything. We're going to have a lot of guests on tonight. We're going to be talking about fear. Fear is the subject of tonight. We're trying to learn how to deal with it. We're trying to learn how to work with it in our lives because it's kind of there. Remember the Sunday scaries? Remember, on Sunday, the overhanging dread of the impending week looming over you because you were afraid to go to work? Yeah, I miss those because we have those all the time now. It's like a cosmic background radiation, a cosmic background intimidation of dread hanging over us all the time. But there are still bigger fears that we deal with. We all face things as big as taxes, death. Those are two inevitable things. I was thinking, since the one thing I've learned in this country is that wealthy people must know everything, otherwise why would they be so wealthy? So I'm inviting tonight to the show the ghost of JP Morgan. If I can get him on the line. He's kind of hard to get a hold of since he's dead, but he's very wealthy and probably knows a lot about how to handle fear. So we're going to try and go ahead and give him a call right now. Let's see if we can get him on the line here. He's probably just gathering his scrying material. Hello. Ghost of JP Morgan.
Hello.
Hi, hello. Okay, glad we got a hold of you. How are you able to contact us from past the grave?
Oh, well, actually, I'm here with my good buddy Thomas Edison. He let me borrow this new invention, the electrogrammoteletron.
Oh, you're with Thomas Edison. Well, that answers my first question. You're in hell. So the next question, can you take it with you?
It depends on what you mean by it. They do let you bring one carry-on bag, but it cannot exceed 50 pounds.
That makes sense. I mean, you got to think about something.
Exactly.
Since you're so famous, you might not know this, but right now we in the living world are going through an international crisis. It's a pandemic. You might be familiar with them. They happen once a week in your time.
Right.
So what do you have any guidance for anyone facing overwhelming situations or fear?
Oh, yeah. Of course. Pandemic, scary thing. Makes you think about what's really important. And when I would feel overwhelmed, I would do what any man. Simply corner a market, build a monopoly, crush your competition, and get rich off exploiting the poor and working class. Very simple solution.
That's some great advice for us in these times, JP Morgan. Ghost of JP Morgan, I should say. Last question. Can I borrow $20?
Absolutely not.
I thought so. Well, next week we're going to have Jeff Bezos on the air to tell us some money-saving tips. Thank you, JP Morgan.
Of course. Good luck.
What a guy. It's times like this that I remember that the only things I care about are sick beats, good eats, and Animal Crossing New Horizons.
is not enough likes. I exit your page like I exit the turnpike. You think it's so wild? Ooh, child, let me tell you what's what. I don't give a fuck about that food that you just ate, or where you took your date, or the minutia of your day. Putting bullshit on display, diarrhea relay. It's really not that interesting. Fake compassion, phony blessings, feedback loops of verbal poops, warm ice cream scoops get us all duped. Have you checked your phone lately? 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 My mind is shrouded, my vision is clouded. Voices so crowded, but what will I do without it? Prison bars in a case, listen far, try to chase despite all that's happened. Still nothing happens. To touch, to feel the rush, what's real? Electronics only mention what's going on in this dimension. We're all tapped in with no captain, with one button still cutting the path with no map down the shaft, feeling baffled. Have you checked your phone lately? 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 Keeping up with trends, a definite number of friends. Followers are borrowers, means but with no ends. A whole generation looking down instead of up. Electric libations overflowing from our cup. Hanging out but feel alone, cause everyone else is on their phone. Maybe my opinion's overblown. Feel a buzz and then I groan, cause I'm going into that zone. New message that is unknown. Who could that be? Well, let me just see. Have you checked your phone lately? 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 Hashtag.
Welcome to the We Shop channel. Just kidding, it's me, Wyrd, your friend, colleague, enemy, depending on how this thing goes. What are you doing later? Me? I'm playing some sick beats. That one was just from Timothy J. Elliott. It's called Have You Checked Your Phone Lately? And if you haven't, I suggest it. There's probably likes there. If not, send me your tag and I'll like it. Because I care about you. I care about a relationship we're building right now. It's a good one. I talk, play music, you listen. Ish. The voice of JP Morgan, if you didn't know already, it actually wasn't JP Morgan's ghost. I lied to you. I actually don't have the ability to scry the dead over the internet. It was actually a good friend of mine, a compatriot, Max Castillo. He goes by Big Time Macca on the internet, and he's just a real hoot of a guy. So I'm gonna play you guys a little funny, humorous comedy sketch video time thing that we worked on together. It's about owning foreign vehicles, which, you know, we all know about that high class status stuff. Keep it locked. It's Radio Wyrd, and I'm on 10 gas station boner pills right now.
Wyrd Beard.
All of y'all stay driving that boring shit. Meanwhile, I'm shining in my foreign whip. Told ya I'm a baller, got it from my mama. Hyundai Sonata, man, it's so glorious. All of y'all stay driving that boring shit. Meanwhile, I'm shining in my foreign whip. Told ya I'm a baller, got it from my mama. Hyundai Sonata, man, it's so glorious. I pull up important, feeling like the man, looking gorgeous in this imported four-door sedan. It's push to start, the key fob in my hand. Blue book value, roughly $2,000. You need cup holders, then I got plenty. V4 engine, got efficiency. 35 highway, be the MPG. Gas gauge broke, tell when it's empty. You can't see me tint like John Cena while I cruise in the whip that was made in Korea. Got seat warmers if the cake need to heat up. Oh, you want leg room? Damn, let me pull my seat up. Hubcap rims on my tire looking rad, and I know how to change it when it goes flat. Leather seats in the front, leather seats in the back. Little crevice in the door where I keep all my trash. Car cherry red like the top of a sundae. You disrespecting, there's gonna be some gunplay. Like a private jet touching down on the runway. That's how I feel pulling up in my Hyundai. All of y'all stay driving that boring shit. Meanwhile, I'm shining in my foreign whip. Told ya I'm a baller, got it from my mama. Hyundai Sonata, man, it's so glorious. All of y'all stay driving that boring shit. Meanwhile, I'm shining in my foreign whip. Told ya I'm a baller, got it from my mama. Hyundai Sonata, man, it's so glorious.
Oh, God. Do you guys feel that? I can sense it. I think I just failed a vibe check.
Pressure's bearing down. You're getting closer to me. Now I'm gritting my teeth. It's getting harder to breathe. Another moment, another lifetime. Each day that passes is one closer to the end. The dark is falling and I'm not home yet. Just drawing lines in the sand. They're blowing off in the wind. Whoa, I've got secrets to tell you.
Shouts out Night Protocol. Thank you for participating in this month's mandatory vibe check. I think we've all passed, and we're in a better place for it. That was music right there from Night Protocol They typically do like 80s inspired synth music. It's fantastic. I love it. That was a bit of a remix though by the I would call him the frontman, mastermind behind Night Protocol. Yeah, I think it was by Vetica. Good stuff. Go check it out on Bandcamp. Really good music. We're all about good stuff. None of the bad stuff. Leave that at the door. We are still talking about fear tonight. We're talking about what gets us through it, where it comes from. I think we all know something that we might be dealing with right now as a collective, as a species. One of the things that gets me through it is my friends. 6 feet apart, of course. But still, I've been relying on them a lot, and the kind of friends that, and you realize now after years of going out and getting drunk at Three Needs that these are the real friends that you have. These are the people that you still talk to. These are the people that you, have genuine interest in and don't just support your bad behavior. They're your real friends. These are the people you want to keep close to you. And at least there's one good thing about this social distancing is that we've become closer in some other ways. Speaking of which, I do want to talk about something kind of serious, if I can. My homie, Allie O'Brien, is working on, speaking of, closeness and friends and relying on people, she's working on a mutual aid program here in Burlington, and I'll put the information on the screen right there. If you have any ability to help out with that program, that's what's going to get us through this. That's how you can assuage some of these fears, is by helping each other, knowing that there's someone there that you can count on. Anyone. So feel free to make a donation. It doesn't even have to be money. It can be anything. It can be your time. It can be your services. It can be anything. I am going to offer anyone who goes and buys my album on Bandcamp. It's Wyrd. Let me put that up on the screen there. Anyone who goes and buys my album up on Bandcamp will be basically donating that money to this mutual aid program. It's Wyrd, all one word. And, any money you spend at all, I'm donating it to Allie O'Brien's mutual aid fund. So, you get some music out of it. And if you buy it, you get a bonus song as well that you can't just stream off the internet. And you're helping a good cause, and you might even, have a new favorite artist whose name starts with Sawyer and ends with buy my album, please. Coming up next, we got some messages from our sponsors. Stay tuned.
We know you're scared right now, but we're all in this together. We here at Bank of Dystopia know that it takes more than a corny ad about togetherness to get you to buy. We have to show meaningful images in black and white on the screen if we're going to get you to invest in our product. But don't worry, we actually mean it. We really do care. Because that's Bank of Dystopia. Caring, sharing. We're in this together.
Now who can rock a show for 2 hours? Now who can rock a show for 2 hours? Now who can rock a show for 2 hours? And only do 2 songs? And only do 2 songs? Who can come up in the spot and get drunk and high and rock a house party all night long? Who can come up in this? Who can come up in the spot? Who can come up in this? Who can come up in the spot? Who can come up in this? Who can come up in the spot? Who can come up in this? Who can come up in the spot? Who can come up? 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 In the spot and get drunk and high and rock a house party all night long. Who could come up in the spot and get drunk and high and rock a house party all night long? Who could come up in the spot and get drunk and high and rock a house party all night long? Who could come up in the spot and get drunk and high and rock a house party all night long? Who could come up in the spot and get drunk and high and rock a house party all night long? Who could come up in this? Who could come up in the spot and get? Who could come up in this? Who could come up in the spot and get? Who could come up in this? Who could come up in the spot and get? Who could come up in this? Who could come up in the spot and get? Who could come up? Who could come up? Who could come up? Who could come up? Rushing and rushing, faster and faster. Here he comes, faster and faster. Rushing and rushing, faster and faster. Here he comes, faster and faster. Rushing and rushing, faster and faster. Here he comes, faster and faster. Rushing and rushing, faster and faster. Here he comes, faster and faster. Look in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane. Look in the sky, it's a man, it's a plane. Turn on secret jetpack flying on the freeway. Turn on secret jetpack flying on the freeway. Faster and faster, flying faster. Going through traffic, faster than ever. Black and white, off the ground. Faster than the speed of sound. Look in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane. Look in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane. Turbo secret jetpack flying on the freeway. Turbo secret jetpack flying on the freeway. On your rush hour traffic, stop it. He's too fast. Know the shit, big cruiser. When you need to get to work on time, you just stay in a turbo. Zebra jetpack, and fly. Not even rush hour traffic can stop it. Oh, the shitty big cruiser. When you need to get to work on time, you just take the turbo. Zebra jetpack, and fly.
Hey, do you guys like metal? I don't really care. Doing it anyways.
faithless vermin, choke on the vomit, choke on the fire, choke on your life, choke motherfucker. Let's play it, your time has come.
I do love good, wholesome Christian music. That was music from Voices in Vain. They're a local metal band, and I like them. Before that, we had music from Meaty Diabetes and the Battery Powered Manatee, a song called Zebra Jetpack. Good times. Good times. You're tuned into Radio Wyrd. I'm your host, Weird Beard, and we're talking about fear today. What makes us afraid? How do we combat fear? Are you afraid of me? What are we? I'm not afraid of anything, actually. I'm doing this for you. Well, except zombies and bees and sponges recently. Other than that, though, pretty unstoppable. Coming up next, we have a public service announcement from our good friend Oscar Lemus out in Los Angeles. Please stay tuned, because it's information worth hearing on Radio Wyrd.
With a somnambulist soliloquy, spit free with a little sweet and subtle numbing me simply. Grip mics tight when I'm brandishing those. Won't stay lit with the chandelier souls. Go get that spit champion pros. Bear witness to the fact that he dope. Wreck the seven cats that sat in the throne. Don't fit with the bros, so I'm lamping alone. I got groundswell, I shine like Star Shell. Voice of the flow is artesian well. Of course I can blow through your whole citadel on the midnight train Zodiac carousel. Comparisons are odious, ain't nobody close to this. Homie, this music cornucopia is copious. Incontrovertible, border rock b-boy. Selected when I spit, leave blocks destroyed. Unclear context, be the mode I employ. Same complex as the ghost in the droid. Paranoid toys, no stranger to the void. That's the void impact rap game, mean a Lloyd. I feel the vibe, I feel the vibe to the system. I feel the vibe, I feel the vibe to the system. I feel the vibe, I feel the vibe to the system. I feel the vibe, I feel the vibe to the system. Your language is a livery, I damage your vicinity. Literally hitting these cats with wicked imagery. Wolf is the epitome of wounded minds critically. Critics don't interest me, never mind the industry. Listen, B, this is the entrance to infinity. Mannequins masquerade and manifest the mystery. Take aim, take stage, my page make flame. OA, so strange, display no shame. Okay, cold days I used to hop trains. Overlook my city, staking through those veins. The panoramic visions of vivid is so great. Automatic prison, I'm living in soul days. Lunatics moved it as soon as the groove plays. And Lindy Hopper, Lucifer, and Bill Moon rays. I
catalyst. Leave you lost inside a labyrinth. Master this tongue, be the dagger that I'm stabbing with. Speak or beat, leave your metronome home. Freaks toward thee, only speak what I know. Must not sleep, must make beats for poems. Infect deep by the streets that I roam. Don't clear context, be the mode I employ. Same complex as a ghost in the droid. Paranoid toys, no stranger to the void. That's the void impact, rap game mean a lord.
Turn it up some more. That's that shit. Baby, remind me again what I'm here tonight. That's where you kryptonite. Hands on my hips and that sipping something I like you and your this be like in the heavy crevices and the softer lines. Maybe I should relax, maybe I should be wise, maybe I should go home, maybe not. I don't know what we both will end up tonight, but it's just worth a try. Tell all your homies, don't call your line, don't even attempt to drop by, cause you gon' be unreachable, and I will be teaching you all about anatomy and anatomy. It's just one up, right? I will ask you how your day was while I undress. Some say mystery is good, I say truth is the best. So let me impress you, never suppress you. You the best secret I've kept in my pocket for less than $1 to catch your attention. Decisions. What position is first? Don't matter long as you up in it. I should say your name for listeners' benefit. Not they gon' mention each other. You brag on your dick without bragging on it. I guess I should just brag on it to the whole wide world. You the best and you're damn well not. This just the interlude, huh? I can go in for 2 seconds to tell them I'm into you, huh? I'm getting bolder these days in my recorder sesh, huh? Out of the blue, I guess I'm acting new to confess to my love. I'm just a mess in my love. Twitching and missing you, wish to be kissing you, licking and sipping your juice, you the sweetest of fruit. Baby, I love what you do when you eat me. I swear I can fly with the angels and lie with the demons I've held inside of you deep. In me, my savior. Soul searching for the wrong things, but seeing you make it right, meeting you every night. Leaking my panties when you in a rush with your fingers succeeding the flight. Get right between them with nothing between us but space and no time. Always be all on my mind. Woo. Always in my mind. Yeah.
Music right then and there. We're hearing from Versailles the Everything, and before that, music from Buster Wolf. He's a nerd rapper. Remember when nerd rap had its peak? Nope, because it's still going on. Nerd rap 2020. Actually, let's advance. Let's go no longer nerd rap. Let's do like real nerd stuff. Speaking of which, nerdcore. We're gonna have Thomas Campbell Arnold on here soon. He's the man with 3 first names and also knows a lot about brain science, which is really cool. So he's going to be talking to us about phobias, fears, things that make us afraid in our gray matter. But right now, the only thing that matters is an interview I have first with good homie Brandon Maxwell. He climbs ice. He's like, rock climbing is cool and all, but he climbs ice, which is cold and dangerous. So we're going to hear from him how he conquers his fears every day for fun. Up next on Radio Wyrd. Today, a very special guest. This is my good friend, colleague, individual, spirit guide, human, Brandon Maxwell. Hey, Brandon.
Hello, Sawyer. Pleasure to be here.
Oh, man, I'm so happy to have you here. We're having a good time today, but I want to... I don't want to, give too much away. Let's just say Brandon is someone who, for fun, does something that I wouldn't do if you paid me. So, Brandon, what do you do?
Do like a bunch of rock climbing, ice climbing, stuff like that.
Ice climbing. What is ice climbing? Well, I think we've all heard of rock climbing. I think we've all heard of people going to their gym and putting on their little dusty on the fingies and going on the walls and climbing up and having a good time. What is different about what you do?
Oh man, so it's like it's crazy because it's all ice is a whole, forming thing. It changes every day. It's all temperature based.
Oh wow, I never thought about that.
Condition based. It's not like a rock where it's permanent and it always has specific features on it that you can like memorize. It's changing and breathing.
So it's not So you're not just looking at a rock face and thinking about. It's the rock face that someone climbed 20 years ago is going to be the rock face that you climb today.
Thing that you climb today.
But when you approach a face that you climb
of ice, yeah,
it could be different while you climb it.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Has it ever happened to you?
Oh, yeah, it's a complete thing that, ice breaks, as you're swinging, pieces of ice are falling down, things are shifting around you, water's, running underneath you, you swing your pick or kick your foot and you end up going into like a water pocket and it's no longer ice and you have no stability there, sort of deal, so.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's a very scary thing.
So just to reiterate here, my good friend Brandon Maxwell here, he's a rock climber. He's let's just say climber. Let's say climber because rock does not even cover exactly what you do. So so climbing and this man does it. It's not a hobby. It's not a weekend event. It's not something he does to get away from the kids.
It's like a nice, fun, masochistic thing to do.
This is what this guy does. Brandon here, he climbs. He puts himself in situations that, like I said, you couldn't pay me to do. And I
think we could pay you enough to do it.
Oh. To my next point, I'm someone who gets like my heart rate rises when I cross the street and I don't have the cross street signal.
My heart races when I'm not wearing yellow and I cross the street.
So that even that blows my mind even more. So what state of mind do you get yourself into when you are climbing up a face that is not only sub-zero temperatures, it's changing, it's slippery, it's genuinely dangerous? What state of mind gets you there?
Dude, so I don't know, it kind of changes like day to day too, because you may wake up one morning and you feel great, you wake up the next morning and you're kind of achy, sore. It's all like a mental perspective that you have to put on it when you approach these things. It's kind of weird because there's been times where I've gotten myself ready and I'm so psyched in the morning and I go out and then I get there and then the first 10 feet of the climb, I'm like, I realize that then I'm like, shit, like I'm not entirely ready for this. And, like, that's something you got to kind of overcome, like while, if you hadn't prior to that, you got to overcome it like while you're in the moment and kind of doing it,
So let's talk about that. So you do have a pre-mental psych up period before you get...
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
It's even like not even the morning. Sometimes, like most of the time, it's the night before.
Oh, okay. So it takes days. So tell me what that process is like.
So it's like if I like am setting my mind to go, like this is a specific climb that I want to do, this weekend or this day of the week, like I'm kind of leading up to it, like thinking, like going through in my head, I'm like, okay, what's the temperature look like? I'm checking out the temperature like the few days before.
The logistical things.
Yeah, the logistical things, and then, just like making sure, maybe the day before, making sure like my crampons are sharp and like my ice axes.
Wait, you're what?
My crampons.
What's a crampon?
So it's like, it's these like spikes that you put on your boots that like specifically, because you can't just like climb ice with your boots on, you need like a spiky thing
to
stick into the ice.
Like cramps onto your foot.
Yeah,
it's what gives you...
And you literally, you kick into the ice.
And see, here I thought you were crazy enough to just go at it with your bare feet.
Oh, yeah, right? I mean, you could. I've seen it.
See, I hate that.
My buddy did it once, and it actually went way better than I thought it was.
I don't like your buddy now.
Yeah.
He's insane.
He's awesome.
He's insane. So you're psyching yourself up. You're thinking the logistics. What do you have to? Is there like a not just like a logistical thinking about it mode that you have to put into? What do you have to do to get yourself spiritually ready for this daring event?
Oh, dude, yeah, it's definitely a lot. It's like kind of the first thing that pops in my head. I'm like, is this going to specifically be worth it? Is me completing this climb going to be worth like the danger that I'm going to put?
A little cost analysis there.
Yeah, for sure. And then most of the time, usually actually all the time thus far, it's like I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it. It's totally gonna be worth it. You know? It's like not to say that hasn't put me in a
So that is
situation-
most of the time. That is most of the time.
Oh yeah, for sure. And not to say that hasn't put me in a situation where I shouldn't have been in, but you know, I've gotten through it.
But you got through it. So tell me about a situation where you sat there and you were like, uh-oh, I should not have gotten here.
So like the whole premise of it, of like ice climbing specifically, is like the only way that you can like protect yourself is by placing, there's these like little screws that you put in the ice, so you like, it has these tips on them, and you put the screw against the ice and you twist it with your hand until it gains, you know, it like gets a hole started for you, and then you crank it in, and like that's what you attach yourself to as you climb up. So like
that's it?
Yeah, that's it. So it's like your judgment, your own safety and protection is based on your judgment call of how thick that ice is, you know, like what the texture of the ice is the area that you're putting your protection in, like concave or convexed, and like all while, you know, the wind's whipping, you know, snow's falling, and you're fucking freezing, you know?
So that's a big part about the, not only like the logistics, the psyching yourself up, the cost analysis, is at the end of the day, what it really is you trust your judgment.
Yeah, it's very much a judgment decision.
And you have to trust it 100%.
You have to trust it.
And you gotta trust it. And that's a big part of overcoming that fear, I imagine.
Oh, absolutely, man. And I mean, when you're standing above your last piece of protection and you're kind of shaking, you're cold, like you can't feel your fingers, and like, you know, like you can't fall. You don't want to fall. If you fall, like you could break the ice, and like that's
or worse,
the entire thing that you're on. You know, yeah, like the ice breaks, you're going down with it. You know,
Jeez.
It's all a very delicate thing that you just, I don't know, man. When I'm scared, like, I know when I get scared, like my hands will start shaking, my legs start shaking,
and that's
can't breathe,
and that's while you're doing it.
That's while you're doing
and that's
it, yeah.
so you've overcome the hurdle of getting on there, and then you're up there, and then a fear grips you that you hadn't even maybe, you know, prepared for.
It was gonna come, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I thought I had it in the bag,
and how do you walk yourself through that then?
So it's like different every time, you know. It's crazy. Like the first few times it happened, I was scared shitless. But like all I wanted to do was just like try to down climb, you know, get the fuck off, you know. But you just kind of gotta, like, how I find to work my way through it is just, you know, kind of like breathe deep and accept the fact that, you know, I put myself in this position. Like I wouldn't be here if I didn't think prior to being here that I was capable of doing this. And rather than let, like, you know, your immediate surroundings depict like my feeling in general, I try to think of like the bigger picture. I'm like, I know I can do this, you know, like I wouldn't be up here if I didn't think that I could do it in the first place.
You got there, you can get yourself out. And so let me ask, has there ever been, what is the scariest situation you've been in?
Oh man. So like ice is collapsing all the time, you know, like
yeah.
When you know, specifically the things that we're trying to climb are like little channels in rock that are just, you know, filled with water, and the person who's belaying you're chopping at ice, and blocks of ice are coming down the size of, you know, textbooks or refrigerators, like,
Jesus,
you
that
know,
could, even like, that alone can hurt you.
Oh, that could kill you, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Good
and
Lord.
I mean, like you get hit by them sometimes, like when you're swinging your axes.
Oh, it's happened.
When you swing your axes above you, I've had, like, you know, pieces of ice the size of a textbook, fall off, like hit you in the shoulder, hit you in the head, like. And you just kind of, and you gotta take that, you know, because you're just on the ice, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. You've got bigger things to worry about.
Yeah, it's way bigger than that, man. Yeah.
Jesus. And so something like that is probably like the closest you've come to like real danger.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. There's been times where, you know, I'm not an expert at all, and, you know, I'd love to do it, and I'd like to get out with people.
Well, you do more than most people I know would do.
Yeah. But I mean, I've gone out with friends who are, you know, done some ropeless things where, like, I would never be up there, you know, without a rope on me at all.
Oh, I feel like the rope is more just to give yourself a little bit of it's a good
Yeah,
psych train. Yeah. You psych yourself up a little bit there. But I mean, but exactly, the real danger happens when you're doing it.
Oh,
not like the preparation, not what you do to prevent things. It's always what happens and you don't expect. That's the real danger.
Every single time. Yeah,
Every time.
Because then, you know, like I said before too, it's like, you may have started the morning and it's 20 degrees out. By the time you're actually halfway up the climb, it's 11 o'clock and it's sunny on it, and the ice is like
suddenly started melting a bit there.
and it's melting off the wall, and pieces are falling. They're falling on you. They're falling on the person belaying you.
So other than that, tell me some more specific pitfalls that happen on your journey up this ice face.
Oh man, screaming barfies.
Tell me about the screaming barfies.
Screaming barfies.
I gotta know what a screaming fucking barfie is, dude.
It's like
I gotta know.
Thing to say, like you can just like throw it.
Those are some cool words.
Yeah, it's like two words that just sound so good together.
Oh, terrifying yet titillating.
Yeah. So basically, it's just like you lose feeling in your fingertips and like your extremities, like toes and fingers.
Reasonable, it's ice.
Yeah, yep. So it's usually your extremities, and then you try to shake your hands out, like your hands are getting cold or your feet are cold, so you shake a little bit
to get some blood flow going.
Yeah, or like hit your hands, and try to get some blood flow. But it comes back so quick, the blood leaves your heart so quickly that like you get like a tingling and like pin sensation.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah,
but it's like very extreme, and I mean like these climbs when you're climbing 150 feet of ice, like a single pitch or whatever, it doesn't take 5 minutes. It takes a half hour.
Yeah, so
minutes. Your hands are in contact. It could be a running stream of water.
That's ice burn, whatever. Like
frostbite.
Frostbite. It's like frostbite. You're getting frostbite up there.
Like what it is.
Yeah, you're getting frostbite.
And then you just try to bring some blood back, but so
and
typically
and you do it too quick.
Yeah, you do it too quick, and then it gives you this like extreme like tingling, like painful sensation.
Why is it called the screaming barfies?
So like it hurts so bad, dude. I don't even know how to describe it unless you like actually get it, but it just literally it hurts so bad.
Sounds bad.
It sounds like it feels like when you breathe, like your chest is hollow and cold, and then like your fingers are also like you're touching like a bunch of needles with them, and they're hot, but like they're cold, but they feel hot, and then like it hurts, so like you're like you're always like yelling, and you're like just like and then like it just gives you the chest sensation, just makes you feel like you want to puke.
I think
it happens to like everybody, man. You ask like any
you get used to it.
Yeah, you kind of do though.
I think you just said all those words describing that were like the words to some emo song somewhere.
We could fix that.
And then I puked with my hands in my mouth.
Exactly.
Yo, those are some brutal words you just spoke to me. And you choose to do this.
Oh yeah.
And you choose to do this.
Dude, it's exciting, man.
It's exciting.
It's exciting.
Despite the fear, despite the pain even.
Despite the pain even, yeah. And despite, like the anxiety of like what you ate for breakfast, and you might have to poop while you're climbing.
Like in the middle of winter. Even just the small banal things that you think aren't a part of it are absolutely.
You love like double bacon, egg, and cheeses, but like
and that's adversity for you. It comes, and if you're not ready, who gives a fuck?
Yeah,
it's coming.
You wipe your ass with an icicle.
There you go. Well, if you had to say anything to anyone right now trying to overcome a fear, what would it be?
I would say just, think about the position that you're in, and, it's feels kind of crippling in the moment that you're in it, it like feels, but if you just take like 3 deep breaths and just really think about it more than like outside the room that you're in, sort of deal.
Scream and barf a little.
Yeah, you could scream and barf a little,
And you'll get through it.
Yeah, and you'll absolutely get through it,
Absolutely. Brandon, thank you so much for coming here and talking about what you do. It's absurd, and I love it. But
I love being here to be able to talk about it, man.
Dude, thank you so much, man.
Yeah,
I love you very much.
Yeah,
come here. All right. That's Brandon Maxwell, dude. Go look him up. First Tracks B Max on Instagram. Sounds exactly like it is. I'm gonna put it up on the screen. First Tracks B Max. First Tracks Brandon Maxwell. If you want to see some daring do's and awesome views, this is your man. He's right here.
That was really good.
Oh, dude. Honestly, I think
that could be like the ending to a book. Like that's all that's written on the last page.
Well, then we'll end it on that.
Right. I just realized I left my mic up during that whole time. Hope you didn't hear me talking poorly about. I don't know, do I have an enemy? Oh yeah, my girlfriend right next to me. Oof. That was Brandon Maxwell right there. Great guy. I used to work with him at Fiddlehead Brewing Company. Buy their beer. It's good beer. I like IPAs now because of that. Yeah, Brandon Maxwell climbs ice for fun with his hands, risking life and limb. Now that's conquering fear for you there. And that's our theme today here on Radio Wyrd. Just realized the music really loud. Coming up next, I got a song that I made. Once again, you can buy it off my Bandcamp page, Wyrd Beard. Any money you spend on my music is going directly towards a mutual aid fund here in Burlington. So you know what? You'll get some sick beats. You'll feel good about supporting people. And that's what's going to get us through this thing. Beats and people. And me. Once again, that was music by me, Wyrd Beard, right there. If you buy it on Bandcamp, it's going to be directly donated to the mutual aid fund that my good friend Allie O'Brien is going on. Allie O'Brien, I love you. Will you go to prom with me? Up next, we have good friend and brain scientist Thomas Campbell Arnold. He's going to talk to us about what makes fear in brain. He's going to say it a lot better than me because he, in fact, is a brain scientist. So let's try and get him on the line right now. Thank you, Discord. Shouts out Discord. Shouts out that little line of dust. That won't go... Okay. Chill. Hey.
Hello.
Hello, Thomas Campbell Arnold.
How you doing, sir?
Not bad. Are you on speakerphone right now?
Let me see if I can fix that real quick.
Yeah. Or just get really close to the mic.
better?
It's slightly better. How you doing, buddy? How we feeling today?
Well, to be honest, I'm a little afraid.
Oh, me too. What are you afraid of? I'm not afraid of anything except for bees, sponges, commitment, coronavirus. But what about you? What makes you scared?
Doing exactly what I'm doing right now, which is talking in front of other human beings.
Well, you're actually technically not in front of anybody. It's just the idea of you being projected over the internet.
Whoa.
Don't let that freak you out even more, though. So, Campbell, tell us, what have you come to talk to us about today? Enlighten us with your brain science. And tell us what fear is, how we can conquer it or be consumed by it. Either way, honestly, I'm up for anything. I'm not doing much later.
Well, So I think if we're going to talk about fear, we should probably start with like the origin of the word fear.
No.
So it's actually Latin for "Ah!"
Oh yes. It's stemming from the Greek.
But yeah, so fear is it's basic human emotions that psychologists have identified, and it's really associated with the threat, either real or imagined, of harm. And it's based in this system in your brain called the limbic system. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. And then probably the thing that most people are familiar with is the fight or flight response, which is rooted in the sympathetic nervous system.
Sympathetic, like when you're a nerd and care about other people.
Yes, as opposed to the asympathetic nervous system.
The antagonistic system.
The antagonistic system, which I think is primarily rooted in your body.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm made of. I'm all antagonist. But so tell me about that then. So that's where the fear comes from, and then what? Because I think we all know that fear is not just a thing that happens in your brain. It can it translates physically. It is something you truly feel.
Yeah. Well, it starts in your brain. So you take in some kind of sensory experience, right? You see Sawyer being murdered. I don't know.
Well, I mean, most people probably would not fear that. That's
and most people would be fine, but occasionally people would recognize that this is a stressful situation.
Mm-hmm.
They might get murdered. They don't really care about you, but they might get murdered.
But yeah, self-preservation.
And their adrenal glands will activate, and they'll start pumping hormones through their body that are going to help extract themselves from this situation. They're going to send, blood to the muscles. They're going to dilate your pupils so you can, see what's going on, and so you can run away, or you can punch what's coming at you.
So fear is just as much a physical reaction as it is a mental one.
Yes. And so that's the interesting thing is, nowadays, most of the things that people fear are really more psychological constructs than they are imminent dangers. We're not about to be, hunted down by a lion, but it is scary talking in front of a group of people.
Even if you can't see them. Yeah,
well, they won't eat you, but
I might.
They might not like your comments on Twitter.
Yeah, well, good thing neither of us are on Twitter. So then tell me, where does fear come from? What causes, what besides, give us an example of possibly a study you've done or something, give us some science, Campbell.
Oh, well, let's break down the fourth wall, Sawyer. We both know that you are a willing participant in research on fear.
That's true.
So I used to work at a cognitive neuroscience lab at Florida State, and Sawyer participated in a study that we conducted one time, looking at how we could maybe modulate the brain's response to fearful stimuli.
Right. I remember that. I was poked and prodded.
So tell me what you remember. Tell me what you remember.
Yeah, so I was strapped to a chair, and I remember getting gel put all over my head, and there was a cap that registered my brain waves, and I had to smell a lot of test tubes and describe my response. And then there were strange noises and faces shown to me, and I had to say on a scale of 1 to 10 how I felt about them. And then I was shocked with electricity, so that was fun. That was definitely worth the $50.
Yeah, so what we were actually doing there is we were trying to modulate your brain activity with that shock. So different regions of your brain communicate with each other through these oscillations, and there's one of them in particular called the alpha rhythm. Right? You like the sound of that?
Yeah, sounds cool. Sounds. I'm more of a beta rhythm guy, but
people that have lower alpha rhythms tend to have higher anxiety. So I could see you not being an alpha guy.
What are you
And
talking
so
about?
what we were actually, so what we were actually trying to do here in this study was we were trying to stimulate you at the alpha rhythm, okay, and see if we could increase the connectivity between different brain regions at that frequency. And what we kind of showed was that if we stimulated you and increased your connectivity, you would that change would last for up to 24 hours, and you would rate stimuli as less unpleasant. So all those weird faces and nasty odors we were giving you to smell, before we shocked you, you would have rated them as more negatively than after. So we think
Huh.
that this can be used therapeutically to kind of treat people that have anxiety.
Interesting. So you're just kind of tricking the mind to perceive fear in a different way.
Yeah, and we're raising kind of a this natural rhythm that you have and trying to kind of accentuate it, give it a little bit more body to protect you from some of these things that you might be anxious about.
Huh.
So basically what we did is, we made you lick batteries.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do recall that. It felt like that. So
Yeah,
tell me now, what would you say about someone our previous guest, that crazy fucking ice climbing psycho? Like how do you describe someone like that who chases perilous situations like that?
Batshit crazy, I think, is the colloquial term.
Yeah, I think I've heard that.
But I've actually got a couple of theories about him. So we
theories.
study people like Brandon in psychology. So there's actually you can't really talk about fear without talking about these really weird people that don't experience fear. So that's my first theory about what might be going on with Brendan. It's that he has severe brain damage.
You might have fallen once or twice. Going
Yeah,
up the mountain.
that textbook-sized block of ice, it didn't leave him fully intact.
Okay,
there's
so
actually-
what's another theory?
There's actually, this one actually has a little bit of merit. So there's people that have rare genetic disorders that cause damage to those brain regions that I was talking about that processed fear. So one of the main ones is called the amygdala. And people that no longer have their amygdalas, either because of a genetic disorder or because of surgery, they don't fear things that most people do. So they're not afraid of snakes. If you take them to a haunted house, they have no startle responses, and they also don't recognize fear in other people's faces.
Oh, so it's not even internalized. It's an externalized, like it is it's a part of like their physiology. It's
Yeah,
how the world occurs to them and how it occurs inside
Exactly.
them.
They don't recognize fear.
Interesting.
Not in themselves, not in you.
That's I probably have that because, as you know, I don't fear anything except for
Yeah.
sponges
Well-
and wasp.
Yeah, and that's probably not good for you, Sawyer. It actually could put you at an evolutionary disadvantage because
Oh my God.
being afraid of things is what teaches us associations with negative experiences, so that we don't repeat them. So actually,
Interesting.
being fearful is actually people think of it in a negative light, but actually it can be a very positive thing. It's
We'll
what
take
allows
it
you
from
to
someone who never learns from any of their mistakes ever, and in fact repeats them every weekend, and then wonder why the world's out to get me. That I'm actually probably the more evolved one. So put that in your science journal.
Yeah, we'll publish you as a case study.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're not the first person to tell me that, actually.
Yeah. So I mean, I actually, I know a little bit about you, Sawyer, and one thing that I know is that actually you are a very fearful person, particularly when it comes to insects that can sting you
And fly.
and fly. Oh, they have to do both. So you're not afraid of like ants, just bees.
Truly not
wasps,
afraid of ants. Ants
hornets.
can hang. It's wasp and hornets and bees, even the ones that don't sting. I think it's the sound. I was like swarmed as a child. It was not a good time, and it stuck with me for a long time.
So that's interesting. Are you saying that you had an early negative experience and that you learned an association that caused you to stay away from that negative experience?
At all costs.
Wow. Science be damned.
Well, it looks like I think we.
So at all costs, you know, I have a story about at all cost. One time, you and I were driving in my truck, heading to one of Florida's pristine swimming holes.
Oh yes.
And
think it was a
the
puddle
windows
outside
were
the club.
down. It was the summer, and a bee flew into the window. And you attempted to get ready for this ICT word. Defenestrate yourself.
Oh,
You attempted
yeah.
to jump out of the window of my moving vehicle. I had to pull over on the side of the highway to prevent you from killing yourself to get away from this bee. And,
Oh,
and
I
that's
wouldn't
when
be-
I knew. That's a real fear. This kid is not messing around.
Oh, phobias. It's a real thing. And I wouldn't say I die. Maim is better than being stung if you've ever been swarmed by paper wasp. Look them up. They're horrifying.
Well, so we actually there's ways that, you know, we have come up with treating phobias. So you can treat them with cognitive behavioral therapy, and one of the most common ways to treat them is with something called exposure therapy, which is where you start with maybe something a little bit smaller. So maybe, you know, you and I get together and we watch the Bee movie, and then you work your way progressively up to more scary stimulation. So maybe
Like
you know,
what?
we put you in a room with a murder hornet.
Yeah. Oh yeah, those. I already feel like I'm in a room with them now that they're in the U.S.
And there's actually there's a interesting podcast going on right now called the Scaredy Cats Horror Show. So if any of you are interested in a live exposure therapy experiment, you can check out the Scaredy Cats Horror Show, where you watch one horror film a week with them, and you go from, you know, not super scary to, you know, the worst horror films in the world, and
B-movie.
and through that you will grow.
Oh yeah, you know, yeah. I'd probably start with B movie and end with B movie. That'd be as far as I can make it in that.
Well, I don't think I can make it through B movie either. So
Yeah, well, for different reasons. All right, Campbell, is there any other like science you want to share with us that maybe can help people get over their fears or just learn more about it and understand it?
yeah, so I actually have two more things. And both of these are kind of insights into maybe why, you know, Brendan isn't fearful, where we can learn from him. And so one is we have to understand why people like him enjoy being scared. And so what psychologists actually have found out is that there are people who have different sensation-seeking traits, right? So there's some people that are, you know, much more calm, reserved. They don't really try new things. They kind of like to stay in their lane. And then there's other people like Brendan, who, you know, would probably snort hot sauce just because he heard that no one had done it yet.
Oh yeah, I you know, honestly, I had to stop him a couple times. Oh wait, that was me. I just love hot sauce. But yeah, so you're telling me that like there are people that are, I mean, I guess thrill seekers. I mean, they're just
Adrenaline junkies, thrill seekers, and one of the things that people think, you know, the term adrenaline junkie comes because, you know, when you get into these kind of stressful, scary situations, you release adrenaline that helps you, you know, get out of those situations, and people think that people are addicted to that.
Yeah, I snort it sometimes.
But actually, sometimes people like Brendan actually have lower levels of adrenaline, and they actually release more of another hormone called dopamine, which I think some people
I snort that too.
listening to this might be familiar with. So
No, not listening to this. Maybe some other show, but
this magical molecule can, you know, lead to, I believe the CDC calls it an elevated mood or high.
Yes, the CDC.
So it really relies on your ability to distinguish that something is not imminently dangerous to you. You know, it's just scary, And once you've gotten over that, you can bring your heart back down. You can get rid of that adrenaline, and you can simmer in that nice little pocket of dopamine you found.
Ooh, I do love simmering.
Yeah. So that's my other theory. Is maybe he's not super adrenaline driven. He's actually dopamine driven.
Interesting.
Yeah. I've got one more
relate to
theory.
that. Okay.
So he said he does cost benefit analysis, right?
Yeah.
I think he's bad at math.
Hey now. Hey. He's good at math. He knows the size of a textbook's or refrigerator-sized ice hitting him in the face.
I was amazed that there were no icebergs in between those two sizes.
Hey, that's geometry, I think.
Well, sorry, that's all the brain science that I got for you. I'm gonna get back to this Miller High Life.
Hey, hell yeah, it's Miller time. Campbell, thank you so much. Thomas Campbell Arnold is a man with 3 first names, also a brain scientist at Penn State, doing brain stuff, learning brain things, teaching us brain things. If you had, just one more thing, if you had like any advice for someone trying to overcome a fear, what would it be?
The advice that I'd give you is the same advice that my pappy gave me, which is this too shall pass. So
I was
a lot
hoping
of
you'd say
the
that.
things that we are afraid of these days, they're not imminent threats. They're more distant threats. And if we can kind of take a step back and realize that they're not immediately going to hurt, and then we can take time to realize that they will eventually conclude, we can take some comfort in knowing that, we have control over our situation.
That's good stuff. There's something that I always keep to my mind that that runs in my mind whenever something bad happens that I want to get over really quick. Your voice goes through my head. These things, they happen.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like me, man.
Well, thanks for joining us, Thomas Campbell Arnold. You're a good friend, a
Oh,
good
it was a pleasure,
scientist,
Sawyer.
and a primary resource from now on.
Yeah, and if you want to get more science updates, you can actually, sorry, I joined the bandwagon. You can follow me on Twitter at @TCampbellArnold.
There we go. He's got a Twitter now. Wow. All right, man. Well, thank you so much. Up next, more Radio Wyrd, i.e. music by me, because I'm great. I'm technically a local artist, so, it's cool if I play some of my own beats. Once again, if you go to my Bandcamp and you buy any of my albums, I'm donating that money to a local mutual aid fund. It's good. It's wholesome. You get music out of it. You could show your friends. You could be like, oh, have you heard of this? And they'll say no, and you'll feel cool, and it'll be good, and we'll enjoy it. Or not. I don't know. I'm making this up as a go. It's Radio Wyrd. Do-do-do-do-do. I don't have any sound effects yet. I'm still working on that.
Gangsta. 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 We feed. We eat. We make money. We make money. Gangsta. We make money. We make money. We make money.
Good music right there from me, Wyrd Beard. Who here hates audience participation? No one? Got the spirit. There we go. I'm enjoying this relationship we have going here. Right now we have music from Dark Lord Gob. It's good stuff. I believe some of the samples come from Momo from Avatar: The Last Airbender, if I remember from seeing a video of him making the song. It's cool stuff. Speaking of which, PSA, all of Avatar's on Netflix right now. Watch it. It's good. It's got all the things. It's got imperialism, male pattern baldness, friendship, flying monkey rats.
feel the way I feel right now when the whiskey flows and the sun goes down as I barrel through with a knotted tongue. I nod my head to the fallen ones, wasted on the couch at the dream beneath, buckled over chasing sober dreams. That isn't where I left my drink. Recently I've been feeling closer to my enemies and the ones who were closest to me. No, you never cared, no, you never cared. We could start over unless you didn't want to. Tell me that I'm wrong. Tell me if you're willing. Tell me that I was the villain and you always played the victim. Tell me that I'm wrong. At every crowded corner, waiting in the background, a successor to a fading farmer. Goddamn these books, all six of them. They bleed me and block out my eyes. Goddamn these books, all six of them. They bleed me and block out my eyes.
All right, we have music right there from Teen Baby. The guitarist and like singer halfway through there, Christine Goodwin, is in a band now called Pool Kids. They're also very good. Check out Pool Kids. But that was Teen Baby with Danny Dorito. Before that, music from Infinity Shred. They like border on the cusp of chiptune and pop punk and like vaporwave. I love it. They're good stuff. And that's what we got here today for you on Weird Beard. The show's about fear, but really it's about conquering your fears, getting out there, doing something you wouldn't do usually, like listening to a weird internet variety show on a Friday night. I mean, hey, talk about a captive audience. It's one of the only positive things about this Corona thing is that we can all be together on the internet listening to music and talking about stuff and doing weird things. I don't know. Let's keep it going. We don't have much time left tonight. I'm gonna have Tori Walters come on, and she's gonna talk to you about mental health. She's by no means a professional, but she knows what she's talking about just from experience. Just one of the most mindful people that I've ever met in my life, and she's good at walking you through mindfulness in general. So I'm gonna play some more music by me, your weirdiest beardiest boy, just because I want you to go out there. I want you to buy that album that I have on Bandcamp, because it's going to go right towards that mutual aid fund, and there's nothing bad about supporting your neighbors, your community at large, because if you can be there for them, they can be there for you, and that is really what's going to get us through this challenging time. And it's all, and this music I'm about to play is totally unreleased stuff. I don't have it on any internet right now. This is first time aired, first time being vetted by you, the listener, my friends, colleagues, nameless, faceless voices on the internet. Keep it locked. It's Radio Wyrd. Music again that I created. Wyrd is my name. Don't wear it out. If you buy my music on Bandcamp, then all that money is going to go directly towards the mutual aid fund that my good friend Allie O'Brien sitting up here in Burlington. Consider buying the album because you're also donating to a good cause, and then you get good music objectively. Don't argue about this. I know things. Coming up next, we have Tori Walters to end on a positive note, to guide us into ideas about how to deal with fear, because we've been talking a lot about where fear comes from, what makes us afraid, and now I believe it is a good time to talk about what we can do in the face of it. So please welcome Victoria Walters. Oh, she hates that. Never mind. Tori Walters. Okay.
All right, so like Sawyer mentioned, I'm going to chime in with sort of a conversation about how to deal with conversations around fear, how to come across it, and sort of face it in your own life. And one of the things that I first and foremost want to address is the difference between facing and overcoming a fear. There's a lot of language and vocabulary about facing adversary and conquering fear like it's a battle, and it can be. But what I'm going to be talking about today is ways to settle into fear and get comfortable with fear, because it's going to happen. It's a part of your life. It's a part of everyone's life. If you don't have fear, that's probably bad for you, as Campbell may have pointed out earlier when he was talking about the fear response protecting you from dying. So what I'm going to talk about is how to live with things that make you uncomfortable, that make you scared, and how to function on top of those. And Campbell mentioned a small part of what I'm going to talk about, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, and that is this standpoint where you analyze how you're thinking, why you're thinking, and how to change any negative patterns that you find that aren't helpful for you, that aren't serving you. And a part of this conversation has to do with the difference between fear and anxiety itself. So fear and anxiety often get wrapped up into one another, and they are technically very different things. Fear is a response to stimulus being provided to you in the moment. That's going to be like Brandon and his ice climbing. You're on an ice face, something goes wrong, you are scared for your life in that moment. Anxiety is almost what was being talked about earlier when we talked about how there are many things that we're afraid of right now that aren't necessarily tangible, and they spark that same fight or flight response, whether or not it's something that is happening to you currently, something that you're scared will happen to you, which is the technical definition of anxiety, or something that has happened, something that you fear will repeat itself. So cognitive behavioral therapy is a fantastic way to tap in and manage that fear of something happening to you in the future. And a part of that is going to come from being a little self-analytical with yourself. I always start when you have that sort of that anxious itch that like crawls into the back of your brain, those big what ifs that you just sort of run with, and then you spark yourself into this fight or flight response that isn't necessary because it's not happening right now. So the main question that I always ask first is, what is it actually that I am scared of? What is happening right now that I have fear for? If it's something that is happening in the future, is it something that's happening to me right now? Is it something that hasn't happened and I worry it might happen, even though that's not a guarantee? And then after that, once you sort of figure out where the fear is stemming from, what I like to do is analyze what that fear does to me physically. And that's helpful because, like Campbell mentioned, fear has this massive physical effect. Your heart races, there's breathing problems that come up, you feel sweaty, hot, uncomfortable, just in general. And those are all in response to this fight or flight that your body is evolutionarily telling you that you have to have, even though you might not be in imminent danger. And once you figure out which physical symptoms you're feeling that are fear-based, you can sort of write those out of your mind. Oh, my heart's racing? Well, I know that that's happening because I'm having this fear-based response. Oh, my palms are sweaty? I know that that's because of this fear-based response. It's not anything serious. It's not anything major. It's something that will come and it will go as the fear passes. The next question I always ask myself is how afraid I am rational for the situation, which is a big part of it, and probably honestly the hardest part of it, is to identify which parts of your fear are increased because of your past experiences, which part of your fear is reactive to in the moment, and which parts of your fear you can sort of let go of because it's not rational, it's not applicable to this situation in this moment. Now, once you sort of like pass through these questions, you are obviously still left with this fear response, this physical discomfort. And a big part of anxiety management is sitting with that, learning to be comfortable with that in the moment and still be functional. You don't have to be great. You don't have to always be fan-fucking-tastic. The idea is to be functional. It's a management. And in order to do that, it's helpful to sort of remind yourself that in whatever situation that you're in, you are likely not in clear and physical present danger. Whatever is happening to you is not immediate. It is not something that is dire and requires an immediate reaction from you or immediate response. You have time, and remind yourself to take the time. Sit, think about it if you have to. But also, it's really helpful to acknowledge that no one's good at thinking about this stuff in the moment when you're having that intense of a reaction. Is this something that you can literally say, hey, I'm not going to be great at dealing with this right now, so I can table this for later when my heart's not racing, when my pupils aren't dilated, when I'm not freaking out like I'm hanging barefoot from an ice cliff. And that's always been a very helpful tactic for me, is to just kind of go, I'm not going to be great at dealing with this, so we're going to table it for when we are going to be okay at dealing with this. And it doesn't have to be a long period of time. It doesn't have to be the maximum amount of time possible. It can be 5 minutes from now, when you've talked yourself down off the wall and you no longer have this extreme physical feeling, which is only going to drive your fear response to the maximum. Cognitive behavioral therapy is a tool that is meant to help you identify your thoughts that are hard on yourself, problematic, increase your fears, and then help you sort of direct them into a more helpful place. I'm scared. Why am I scared? I'm scared of this. Is this an immediate threat? How much time do I have to deal with this? How explosive is this in actuality, as opposed to the potential of how explosive it can be? Not the what if, but the actuality of it in that moment. And
being able to sit with yourself for just a second and identify where that fear is coming from, what it is, how it's happening to you, how you are experiencing it, is the first step to managing it. Not conquering it, not fighting it, not overwhelming it, not battling it, but managing it, sitting with it, living with it, and making it okay. Campbell's "These Things, They Do Happen" very much reminds me of some words of wisdom that I have also learned from someone else, which is my mother's very, very favorite, "It'll be okay." Why? Because it has to be. You have made it this far in your existence. Many things have happened. You've been scared of them. You've managed. You've overcome them. You're still here. These things, they happen. It's gonna be okay. Because it has to be.
Tripping on that.
Walk right through the trap.
What was that shifting in the trees?
There she is, floating in the breeze.
Reach for the earth instead of the sky.
Slowly fight for the ash.
Covering the sun.
Walk right through the trap. She is sweet, she is sour. A poisonous flower. We trip trap discover that she will change by the hour.
Roll
trap discover that she will change by the hour. She is sweet, she is sour. A poisonous flower. We trick, trap, discover that she will change by the hour.
I feel like we've been through a lot tonight. Especially Brandon. But then we had Camel to come on and tell us some brain facts about why we feel the way we do sometimes. And then Tori joined us to tell us how to handle that. And we also had JP Morgan's Ghost call in and give us some tips about how to corner markets and feel good about yourself and your overwhelming wealth that's destroying everything in the world. But other than that, I feel like we've conquered our fears. I still don't really like sponges, or holes that are too close together for that matter. But, honestly, it's been a good time. I appreciate your company. I want you to know that you can find me every week at 1 p.m. on Fridays on Twitch. Twitch Wyrd Beard, but the beard is spelled with a Y, one word still. I might post a link. I don't know. If it's meant to be, you'll find me, and I'll find you. And we'll be together again on Fridays at 1 p.m. for Radio Wyrd. I hope you've enjoyed a lot of the music that I've been playing for you today. It's been a lot of small artists, which I'm really trying to focus on. Speaking of which, I'm going to put my information on the screen there, and you can contact me at that email and send me your music or your friend's music or anything you want me to hear or play on the air, or we can just talk. I'm into having pen pals. I'm not above communicating with people I've never seen before. With that, I want you to know, I care about you. We're in this together. Let's not be weird about it. Times are weird. But in all the weird wide world, we at least have each other. So don't forget to be kind, be careful, but above all, be weird. Here's one last song by me.
When bad things happen, I know you won't believe they are a joke. But sometimes life is scary and dark. That is why we must find the light. Aha! Found it!
BMO's one of a kind. I built BMO to take care of my son. Yeah, oh, thank you. But I guess I never ended up dating any women. So that's sad. I sent BMO off into the world alone, hoping to find a family home. And maybe even find somebody else's little boy to take care